This week I learned that I'm really glad that I do this on YouTube, because apparently if I did this in person and I made a joke that you guys didn't like, it's totally okay to come on stage and slap me and go back to your seat. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update, and I hope you guys don't get fooled on good old April Fool's Day, because you know what? I still get my wife every year, and I don't feel bad about it. But guys, we are into a new month here, but March was a very exciting month. We're going to be talking about that when I wrap it up here pretty soon. But let's go ahead and do like usual, guys, with the weekly update. Let's talk about what am I reading, and I've only been reading one thing all week, guys. I've been reading the new Sun Eater book by Christopher Rocchio. Now, my opinions on this is because I feel like I put a target on my back on the Discord, because everyone in there is very super high on this book. They love it. It's like book of the year for them so far. Where I'm like a little more mixed. I think that I think Christopher is an amazing writer, mega talented dude. And I think the story is terrific. I have no problems with that. What I've always kind of struggled with the Sun Eater series a little bit is some of the secondary characters. I've never really felt a bond with a lot of the secondary characters on here. So let's just say that Kingdoms of Death is not just a clever title. There is a lot of things that happen in this book. And when they happened to some of those secondary characters, it didn't really have the emotional weight with me it had with others. And so basically, some people are like, "You monster!" But I mean, I don't want that to people to make that mean that I didn't like the book. I got about that much left. And you know what? About half of that is dramatis, because he's got so many characters and planets and terms and stuff in here that it's very long. So I'll be finishing that today. But it was like basically for me the first half, I really thought it was competing with book number 1, which is my favorite. And then it took like this really weird turn, which if you read that far in the series, you'll understand, which kind of had me like, all right, I don't know how I feel about this. So it's going to depend on how he sticks the landing here. Now, everybody has said the last 10 chapters are just crazy. So we'll see after I finish those sometime today how I feel about it. But right now, it's definitely not up there with Empire of Silence as my favorite, but there's a lot of things in there I really am enjoying quite a bit, and I can't wait to talk a little more about them. There might be a spoiler talk on another channel, which I'll announce when it gets a little closer, and certain gentlemen might actually be on that with us. So it's going to be a fun conversation. And again, guys, if you're talking about cover of the year, it's going to be tough to beat, because his covers are second to none. But really, that's all I've read this week, guys. All I've been reading. I did start it a little later because, like I keep telling you guys, it's a very crazy time of year when you work in finance. So I got kind of a late start than everybody else, but I wanted to try to finish it up before we started April, because we will be starting, the next book in our read-along. But that's a good segue, guys, to get into what am I going to read. Now, obviously, I'm getting more and more blind every day, guys. We'll be starting back on, we'll be finishing up to Green Angel Tower. So it's not a short, even though it is just a half of it. I talked about it last week, guys. I'm not going to keep saying the same things over and over again. I'm excited to see how it ends up, because I think really with this, if Tad Williams sticks the landing, this is going to be a top 10 fantasy series all time for me. So a lot is writing on this last adventure with Simon and Company to see how he finishes up this story. I feel like that this story has enough of a legacy and a fandom that I don't think that he's not going to stick the landing. But like I said, a lot is riding on this last adventure here, so I'm hoping that all the pieces that he's set up and is moving here, that he's able to find a satisfying conclusion for all of those. And after that, guys, it's going to be full on into Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne. I'm ashamed I didn't get to it earlier than this. Things just kept happening, and then I ended up getting busier than I expected to get. So really, that is the 1-2 priority this month, obviously, to Green Angel Tower Part 2 and Hunger of the Gods. And if when I do finish those, it'll be back into the Legends of the First Empire. This is book number 4, Age of Legend. How about that? Legends of the First Empire, Age of Legend. It's like Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. It's like, wow, you're really using these words, Anyway, so again, I don't have anything to add on these. I talked about these the last couple of weeks. I'm looking forward to it, obviously. Things can go either way with Legends of the First Empire. It's been kind of a mixed to positive for me so far, so it'll be interesting kind of to see how it goes as we get along, especially since everyone keeps telling me that there's such a huge change of direction in the second half of the series. And really, after book 3, Age of War, I did kind of feel that. I was like, this almost feels almost like a soft ending a little bit. So it'll be quite the interesting journey, I think, to go forward. So that's really all I've got planned, guys, for now. Here's the thing, is I know people are going to be like, why wasn't this on your schedule that you just released? But I'm thinking about littering this in somewhere. Now, the reason I didn't put Insomnia on that schedule, because I don't want people to count on it. This will be something like, I know that this seems like weird to people that I would litter in a book that's massive along some of these other massive books. When you're reading this much fantasy, you need a break from it every once in a while, I think. So this will kind of be like the side thing. And the reason it's this one is because this is the next one on the schedule for Multiverse. So that's why it has to be this just crazy chonker. But like I said, I didn't put that on my schedule because I don't want people counting on me doing that. I know there's a lot of people who are really anxious for me to continue into the Multiverse, and I'm anxious to do it. But I don't want them feeling like, hey, then it's going to be this month, and then we're going to have this month. I'm not getting back to that quite yet, but I could see myself littering in some Insomnia sometime this month and next. And the thing about Insomnia, guys, is I read that when I was a teenager, and that was the time when I was like, this isn't quite what I'm wanting from a Stephen King story, so I really remember nothing about it except that Ralph, I think that Ralph is the protagonist's name, he's a widower and he's suffering from sleep, and then it gets really, really crazy. And here's the thing, is a lot of the terms in that didn't make sense to me the first time because I had not read The Dark Tower yet. So I'm thinking this time on a reread, knowing as much as I do, being a Tower junkie, I'm thinking it might make more sense to me this time, or be a little bit more of what I'm looking for. I don't know. This is a very, I'd say it's probably on the lower end of most people within the kingdom of where they rank this book. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm really much more into the King stuff now, where it is just slice of life. It is just a character living through the years. We're going to be dealing with obviously some grief and loss, which I think he's very good at writing. So, but yeah, this will be almost brand new to me, guys, because I really don't remember a ton. Everything else I've reread, I remember bits and pieces of it. I don't remember very much of this, and I remember nothing of Rose Madder. So we will see when I get to those books, guys. But let's go ahead and talk about this week on the channel some. Light week, like I said, it is going back to 3 videos per week, counting the weekly update. That is the plan as of now. Busy week, so I had to do a rapid review. I didn't get to do a full review. And I think that's a way to do it with Princess of Mars by Edgar Rice Burroughs, because it is a very short book. Very, very short. And could I have talked about it for 20-something minutes? Sure. I mean, it's Edgar Rice Burroughs, and I think that Barsoom is, actually pretty deep for what he actually does in just under 200 pages with that story. So I could have talked about it for sure, but I thought the rapid reviews was the best way to do it in a way that I could try to sell it to other people to give it a try. I know a lot of people that watch BookTube, if it came out after like 1990 or before 1990, they're not really interested. So I've got to try to do my part to get people interested in those things. And that's kind of why I wanted to talk about that, because I think it's just such an influential book. Like I said, it influenced Dune, it influenced Star Wars, it influenced Superman, for God's sakes. Carl Sagan talks about that being like the reason that he got interested in outer space and science. So that's an incredibly influential book, and I think everyone owes it to themselves, if you are a fan of science fiction, to check it out, because I think it goes Mary Shelley, H.G. Wells, Jules Verne, and then Edgar Rice Burroughs with Barsoom. It really is just kind of like the building blocks to what we know as sci-fi today. So very important story to talk about, and I hope to talk about more Edgar Rice Burroughs sometime, who knows when. But I do want to get into Tarzan eventually. And then, I've told you guys this before, is that I feel like people are more interested in me talking about what I'm going to read than what I'm actually reading. And so, of course, whenever you announce your TBR schedule, which is what I kind of talked about why I didn't have Insomnia on there, I did talk about what I plan to read for April, May, and June. And now I like to do these by a quarter. Just because when you're in finance, you plan everything by fiscal years and by quarters. But with this is really, I think it helps me to be able to say, I can look 3 months in advance and feel like I can stay pretty firm on that schedule. I can add stuff in, but I don't have to take anything out. So that's kind of what I did. I know a lot of people are like, it's weird because it seems like on the Discord, people are like, "Oh, you're only doing 5 books," and outside, like comments on the channel and Instagram and things like that, people are like, "Wow, how do you read 5 books in a month?" So it's weird, the different types of readers that I come across. But yeah, I did try to just do about like 3 to 5 books per month, just to give myself wiggle room, because some of those I'm doing like trilogies, like I'm doing Joe Abercrombie's trilogy, I'm doing Bernard Cornwell, and I'm like, I don't know about how quick those read, so I want to make sure I give myself the wiggle room and I don't feel like I'm having to speed run something like I'm doing with Kingdoms of Death right now. to be able to get through with those each month. So always give yourself some wiggle room, and then you can fill in, some things. Like, I still want to get some classics. I still want to read Call of the Wild. I'd like to fit Call of the Wild in there eventually. So that's why I kind of space things out the way that I do in that video. But people seem to be the most excited about two things. One, about me saying Warlord Chronicles by Bernard Cornwell, and two, Legend of Drizzt. It seems to be very, very popular. So I hope you guys are excited about Drizzt, because I do plan to talk about it here pretty soon. That's a good segue, guys, to talk about some next week plans. Yes, I didn't have the time this week to get into my why I decided to read the Forgotten Realms and Legend of Drizzt. So I will get to that this week. I started getting together some artwork for the intro I'm going to make for it. I'm trying to dig up some spoiler-free quotes and make a nice little intro for that, because those are always a lot of fun to make, especially for me when you don't have any context of those quotes. I think it's great. It's a fun way to kind of get in the mood. So then I'll just try to search down a song that I think will feel appropriate and make that, and then talk about kind of a little bit of the history of the Legend of Drizzt and Forgotten Realms overall, and how R.A. Salvatore became, kind of created this universe, and without how much I can dig into it without getting into spoilers, kind of what I do, and then of course why I've decided to read it. Long story short, you guys convinced me to read it. So we'll be talking about that. Might be a little briefer, because it'll be kind of like the Hyperion one, where I'm just like, I've wanted to read it for a long time. I never claimed that the why I decided to read is going to be quite as informative as the why you should read, but I think it's just a good way of just showing something that you're really excited for, and you want to talk about why you're picking it up finally. But we'll also be doing some wrap stuff here. I'll be wrapping up the month of March and doing my book of the month, which I've already narrowed down. I've already decided which one it's going to be, and that's always a fun conversation to have. And I'll say it's probably not the book that you're thinking, but we'll find out when we wrap up the month, talk about most popular content and the channel growth and all that kind of stuff, which we've talked about before. And I'll also, guys, because it is going to be such a busy week here for me, I am going to be doing my book haul early again this month, because I need to get some of these things out of the way, some of these time-sensitive ones, in case I run into roadblocks down the road and I don't have time or the space to do them. So I'm going to be doing both of those sometime this week, and I don't usually try to put those in the same week, so I'll kind of split those up with the Drizzt video in there, and that's kind of the plans for next week. But guys, that's kind of all I got for books right now. There is a lot of TV and movie stuff that I want to talk about here. I want to start by saying, the joke about the Oscars there. I mean, who hasn't made a joke about it at this point? But apparently, like I said, however side of it you come down on, you make a joke, you can get slapped, or you can slap now, and whatever. That's not what I'm here to talk about. What I'm here to talk about, guys, is that Dune won 6 Oscars. Now, my opinion of the Oscars has been really, like I said, since they stiffed Richard Linklater for Boyhood, I've been like, you guys are something. So I don't really have too much nice things to say about the Academy, but what I'll say, why this is a good thing for Dune fans, is the one thing that Warner Brothers likes more than their movies making money, guys, is they love them some accolades and some Rotten Tomatoes scores. And Dune's got both those now. Now that it's got 6 Oscars, I think they'll be very interested in being like, okay, Denny, this got a lot of recognition. We're going to write you a little check for a little extra. You go and make Dune Part 2 as big and as much of a spectacle as you want. I really believe that's going to happen. That's a very good thing for Dune fans. I really think this is, because Warner Brothers does care about stuff like that. So great news. Look, it was all like, Crafts Awards. I mean, obviously, I still can't believe that Denny didn't get nominated, but I think the fact that everyone that won for Dune made sure that they dropped Denny's name about 5 or 6 times in their acceptance speech. There's going to be no way he is not at least nominated for Dune Part 2, I think, in 2024. But great thing. I mean, I'm glad Hans Zimmer won for that soundtrack, because I was blown away. This is the first time that Hans Zimmer has won an Academy Award for a score since The Lion King in 1994. Can you believe that? That guy. 26 years between Oscars. That's amazing, because I don't know, I just think about Hans as basically like the John Williams of this age. I mean, John Williams is still John Williams, but I mean, I think Hans Zimmer's if you're going down to the next tier, Hans Zimmer's right there when it comes to memorable movie scores. So that was just kind of amazing to me when I learned that. But cool. Anytime Dune is going to get some recognition, I'm going to be happy about it. Now for the weird stuff. Apparently they are making an It prequel series on HBO Max. Now, Stephen King's It. I always knew with how successful those movies were that they wanted to milk it. I always kind of joked, they'll be making direct-to-DVD It Part 3, probably. But here's the thing. Here's what they're going to do with this. Is apparently it's going to take place. There's rumors it's going to be about the interludes that are in the book and wasn't used, but there's also that history of Derry leading up to the events of the book. And here's my deal. I think this is going to be kind of like Pet Sematary 2. And if you remember Pet Sematary 2, guys, it's basically this is what happens when you have a Stephen King IP and you don't have the key ingredient writing it, which is Stephen King. So when you don't have Stephen King writing a Stephen King property, you get Pet Sematary 2. Or in a best case scenario, I think you get Castle Rock. Now, Castle Rock on Hulu, I thought was decent. It was decent. It was one of those kind of things where it's like, okay, you've got all these amazing properties by Stephen King, but you don't have Stephen King writing it. So it's just average at best. And I think the best thing about that was, just looking for Easter eggs. It was like reading a multiverse book and you're just looking for Stephen King Easter eggs. I think Castle Rock was a huge missed opportunity. It was so close. It was right there. But if Stephen King isn't like writing on this or giving any kind of advice or consulting on this at all, I don't have very much hope for it. Is Bill Skarsgård coming back as Pennywise? What are they doing with this? So I'll wait until I hear more. But right now it's just kind of like, who asked for this? Stephen King fans did. There's lots of Stephen King properties out there. There's lots of short stories that you guys could be adapting. I don't know why you got to go for this, except, hey, we got that brand recognition. We got to go for it. All right, now this is going to be the unpopular opinion segment, guys. And this is where I'm going to talk about the movie The Lighthouse from 2019. I finally got to watch this. Something that people have been kind of bagging on me in the comments for a while. You're such a horror guy. I can't believe you haven't watched The Lighthouse yet. Now, look, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I did not like this movie. So you might want to skip this segment if you really, really love this movie. And I'm going to kind of talk about why real fast. And again, I want you guys to know, I understand this is an unpopular opinion. This is a very popular movie. I think all A24 stuff, like I said, for me, it is either a smash hit home run or it's terrible. There seems to be no in between with A24 and me. I think what I've kind of noticed about A24 is I'm going with directors at this point because I think about like Ari Aster. I love Hereditary. I loved, what was the the other one that he did that was really, really good. I liked both of those movies quite a bit. Robert Eggers, I did not like The Witch. I did not like it at all. And I did not like The Lighthouse. Now, what I'll say about both those movies, beautifully shot, amazing performances. Horrible story. Just horrible story. Now, with The Lighthouse, again, Robert Pattinson, I think he's great in this. I feel like I was completely wrong on Pattinson, just like most people are. People that can't get past that he was once a sparkly vampire. For me, he'll always be Cedric Diggory, so I don't really have a problem with this. But I love the Batman. When he was in Tenet, I was like, if he's a good enough actor for Christopher Nolan, he's good enough for me to be Batman. That was kind of like my litmus test when it came to Pattinson. Now that I've seen him in more movies, yeah, the guy's a good actor. And again, he's good in this. But however, Willem Dafoe is incredible in this movie. Willem Dafoe has always been a powerhouse actor. I think the guy's always been. You go all the way back to like Platoon. This guy has never had a miss for me. He's always been the best part in just about every movie that he is in. You think about him in the original Spider-Man. I mean, without him hamming it up, who knows if that first Spider-Man movie is as big of a hit as it was. I think that Willem Dafoe is just great. He's a treasure, and in this movie, he gives some of the best monologues I've seen in his career. So again, amazing performances. It's a beautiful movie. It is shot incredible. It almost has like that Twilight Zone atmosphere to it because of the stock of the film. It looks and it sounds great. It even has like that Twilight Zone kind of horror music. Everything else about it I do not like. I did not understand where it was going, but I was giving it a chance. And then, like, I'm not gonna lie, guys, the last third of that movie, way over my head. So yeah, it's a big miss for me with Robert Eggers, to the point now where, look, I love me some, you give me some like 11th century Scandinavia, Vikings, anything like that, I'm usually in. I'm not watching The Northman now. For me, it's like fool me once with this guy. Now this is twice, so I'm not doing it a third time. So I'll wait and see what people say about Northman. I'm sure they'll say it's amazing or whatever, because people say The Witch is amazing. People say that Lighthouse is amazing. And I'm just thinking, he's just not my style of director. So I think when you come to anything that's very clearly an art film, you're going to have varying opinions. And that's just mine. That's just mine on The Lighthouse. It's, again, beautifully shot, wonderfully acted, just a crap story. So that's my unpopular opinion, guys. That's really all I got for the movie this week. Real quick, before I go, I do want to do a little music talk because I have to give a drum solo to my guy, Taylor Hawkins from Foo Fighters, who sadly passed away this week. Complete shocker. 50 years old. Everybody thinks about Foo Fighters, they think of Dave Grohl. You know, I just read his book earlier this year and talked about it and talked about how Foo Fighters has been one of my favorite bands for almost 30 years now, which is amazing to me. I think it's been that long post-Nirvana. You know, but Taylor Hawkins, you got to think about, no one ever says anything about how great of a drummer this guy was. You got to think, you're that good of a drummer that one of the best drummers in rock, Dave Grohl, was okay with you being the drummer in his band, you know, but just the bond and the friendship that Taylor and Dave Grohl has, I'm just absolutely destroyed for that guy, for Dave. You know, someone kind of made the crack that, you know, when he was a drummer, he lost a singer. Now he's a singer, he lost his drummer. And it's just, that guy just, I mean, you read that book, he's had hit after hit of tragedy in his life. And it's a shame that he has to go through this again. And I don't know what's going to happen with the band at this point because, I mean, those two are the life force of that band. And I have no idea. I think Dave loves music too much to quit. But I see Foo taking an extended break. Especially since apparently they found out about this like 20 minutes before a show that was going to be happening in South America. Just devastating. Just definitely gone too soon. You know, my thoughts immediately go to not just Dave, but also to his wife and his kids, man. He had young kids, and it's a shame. It's a shame anytime you lose a rock star like this. But that was just such a likable person. You know, he's on Howard Stern frequently. Just seemed like a really, really cool dude. I mean, just the outpouring of support for him. You always can tell the guys that were genuine, you know, and he definitely seemed like one of them. It's just a shame to lose him. He talked about that he had struggled going on and off the wagon, you know, numerous times with drug abuse, and it's a shame to lose him. Really, 50's not that old, guys. It's really not. I got to keep saying that the closer I get to it, you know, but it's just tragic. What else can you say? So, you know, I've been putting the Foo on shuffle all week, and I'll continue to do that into the next week. So rest in power, my good man. Know that you guys are putting on one hell of a concert upstairs right now. So guys, that was my week. What was your week like? Drop in the comments and let me know what you're listening to, what you're playing, what you're reading, what you're watching, all of those good things, and I will talk to you there.